So you came out of 8 days in that house where none of us got to see anything. I mean, these people they were in hiding because of the mob scene that had gathered outside that house. But you were inside, and you came away from that 8 days literally in close proximity with the Anthony family, believing it was impossible that that child died in the pool and that the Anthonys, George and Cindy, knew it all along?
Oh, 100%. I mean, from the point of the first night, you know, she's in custody 30 days. So she's not able to find out what's going on, you know, where are they at on the searches, what has come in, what have calls have happened. And there was no discussion of that. She never asked. She never cared about the search for her missing daughter. George was the one that was out there putting up flyers and trying to contact people.
What was the first thing Casey said when she came home? The night she literally left jail and walked into that home of George and Cindy's.
Yeah, it's a silent ride with her and Baez and another attorney. We pull into the garage. It's very emotional. You know, Cindy's crying. She rushes up and hugs her. You know, you'd expect a mother to be, okay, where are we at? What's going on? What have you heard? None of that. The very first words out of Casey's mouth was, what's for dinner? You know, jail food sucks.
She didn't ask what's happening with the search for Caylee. She showed no concern about where the status was of the missing child.
She never asked the status.
How often did George and Cindy bring up the status of the missing child?
Well, it was kind of set up through Baez that nobody was supposed to question her or talk. The problem is Casey can't keep her mouth shut either. So there's conversation, but it's not really a questioning. It's kind of more like, you know, under Cindy's rule, you know, let her tell the story, let her bring up whatever, and just kind of a little bit of back and forth. So there's not a lot that's out there about, you know, a missing child, which again isn't normal.
Did you have any kind of conversations with her while you were in that home?
Yeah, there's normal talk. You know, Baez wanted no communication, and he laid out ground rules, even with George and Cindy, that nobody's supposed to talk unless he's in the room. You know, he has to be privy to everything. But again, Casey can't help but kind of be the star of the show, and she's going to talk. She's going to talk about, you know, anything that's on TV at that time, things that were coming out in the news. She'd make comments about, and you know, it's just frustrating from the outside of, you know, I'm just sitting there to take care of the bond and make sure nothing happens. But you really see a different side of seeing the family interact.
Can I ask you, in covering the case and being immersed in it and being in that courtroom every single day for that entire trial, I came out with the impression that Casey is one of the most exquisite liars I've ever come across. And I wondered if you got the same impression and if there were any kind of specific anecdotes from just remarkable lying and maybe forgetting about what lies she's told and which ones she hasn't, if you have any examples.
I think the amazing thing was that she lies for no reason. So, you know, most people might lie to cover up something or not, you know, be found out about something, but she was lying her whole life. And she kind of lived in this fantasy world where I don't believe she's that great of a liar. I just believe that she's lied for so long, she had a grab bag of lies to pull out whenever. And that's what was so confusing, I think, from the investigation standpoint, because, you know, she had named people that didn't exist, but people had heard these names forever. But at the same time, because she lies so much, she's also not good at keeping track of it. And she can contradict herself, you know, numerous times, even all the way up to today. The main one that we saw was in one of the bringing her from Baez's office back to the house. She had stated one day that, oh, I'm so full. I had all these wings because, you know, the media was trying to buy lunch and trying to kind of get in with the Baez team to try to get possibly an interview or some insight. And so they were, you know, buying meals and turning them in, you know, for them to eat at lunch. And Baez was always counseling her that she's not coming off with the emotion in front of us, in front of the family, and to the public of a missing child's mother. So the very next day, on the way back to Baez, she's acting like she doesn't feel good. She says her stomach hurts, and I ask her what's wrong, and she says, "Oh, I just, been sick these last couple of days. I can't eat. I'm so worried about her." And it's like you're sitting here thinking, you don't remember the conversation on the ride yesterday that you said you were so full from eating? So she loses track.
Are you surprised, Rob, here we are 15 years later, and Caylee Anthony's name and her story is as fascinating to us now as it was when she was at the top of every headline?
No, because I think because no one's been found guilty, and I think pretty much everybody knows who was responsible, I think it's that wonder that's just going to go on and on, unfortunately. I mean, there's really no closure, it seems, because, even with the double jeopardy, she could have came out and told a real story. But everything she says, you can't believe. So it's hard to figure out the truths. I mean, she gives little pieces, but she just doesn't tell the truth.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.